When I've studied the Bible, it's amazing to see how many times that a miracle recorded in Scripture happened in somebody's house. See, we tend to think that miracles only happen at church. And by the way, church is a good place for miracles to happen, right? I believe that miracles are actually happening right here today. Here in our Frederick campus, Gaithersburg campus, I believe that as we've gathered together, God's working, God's doing things that only God can do in your life, and so God is at work doing miracles, but church is not the only place where miracles happen. In fact, church is not designed as being the single place that miracles happen. Yes, it happens in the context of us coming together and worshiping, and you need to make that a priority in your life, but just as God does miracles in the church house, God can do miracles in your house. This is vital to understand because you don't leave God when you go home from church. No, you go from church and you've been built up and strengthened in your faith and encouraged in your faith. Yes, all that's a good thing, but when you leave the church house, you go to your house and you need God in your house. And so the Bible is very clear that God works in people's houses. Some of the greatest miracles of the Bible didn't happen in the church house, they happened in somebody's house. Let me give you a few examples of this. Matthew chapter 8. The story I'm about to read takes place in a little fishing village northwest shore of the Sea of Galilee. You can still go there today and visit it. It's called Capernaum. Peter lived in Capernaum. Peter had a house in Capernaum. Jesus made that his hometown during his earthly Galilean ministry. There was a day that Jesus and his disciples had been in the synagogue in Capernaum, and after they'd finished their worship service there in the synagogue, and Jesus had cast out a demon there in that particular synagogue, they left the synagogue, and if you go with me there today, I can take you just a few, walking just less than maybe even a quarter of a mile away from that synagogue to where Peter's house was. It's still marked today as being the place where Peter lived. And so Jesus went with Peter to Peter's house because there was a problem at Peter's house. Peter's mother-in-law was sick and dying with a fever. She was severely ill. And Peter says, Jesus, I need you to come to my house. I need you to show up at my house. I've got a problem at my house. Verse number 14, when Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her. When evening came, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word and healed all the sick. Where did those miracles happen? They didn't happen in the church house. They happened in Peter's house.